things I do for my deep dives. Those who may have been hanging around piercing pop culture in the last year or so will know that I've been down a Clu Gulager rabbit hole. Really, since I watched Terror at London Bridge, which I really need to talk about on this channel. I've talked about on others, but I digress. So, the Clu Gulager Film Festival, as I've been calling it, continued today with a film that honestly shouldn't qualify as a Clu Gulager film because he's only in it for 5 minutes. But kids, I finally sat down and watched Piranha 3DD today. And let's sit down and talk about it because it's late at night and I figure, why the heck not? I have officially seen 3 of the Piranha films, and I've seen it in the weirdest order. The original Dante film, this one, and then the William Smith, Peter Brown Piranha film, which actually isn't about piranhas at all, but it's called Piranha. But back to Piranha 3DD. So this film follows the action at a water park when mutant piranhas start creeping up and causing chaos. The film stars an interesting cast. We've got Danielle Pennebaker, Matt Bush, Katrina Bowden, David Koechner, David Hasselhoff pops up in a memorable cameo, Paul Scheer, Ving Rhames, Christopher Lloyd. So this comes from filmmaker John Gulager and quite a few writers, actually. Joel Swesson, Patrick Melton, and Marcus Dunstan. This is a film that I can honestly say I don't know if I'm going to remember. Especially some of these characters. The teenagers might not stick in my brain, but my word, did this give me some belly laughs. I have the hardest time talking about films like this one because I know 10 years ago, I probably would have hated it. I would have riled against it. But this all started during a deep dive into Roger Corman's career when I learned to love the kooky, love the interesting, and frankly, learning to meet movies where they're at. This was really an exercise in that. The film sets you up exactly with where it's at with an opening scene that includes Clu Gulager. And the moments that this film crafts just gave me such horror comedy joy. In fact, I'm not even entirely sure I'm prepared to call this film a horror film. It has plenty of body elements, plenty of gore elements, but aside from a few I was never particularly uneasy. I felt like this was questing for the reaction, the guffaws, the shrieks. There's certainly jump scares with the piranhas that usually feel delightfully computer generated. But what is going to be memorable for me with this are, of course, some of the more outrageous movies. And if you check this film out on Letterboxd, the reviews on the page mention one quite a lot that I don't want to spoil because this film isn't all that old. I mean, 2012. But what will stick with me here are the character moments. David Hasselhoff does what only David Hasselhoff can do, and cameos as himself in a Baywatch callback that kind of stretches throughout the final act of the film. And he leans into a character that is honestly not entirely surprising for David Hasselhoff, but it was perfect. It gave me so many laughs. There's some great Christopher Lloyd moments in here. I wasn't expecting to see him pop up. Heck, David Koechner gave me some big chuckles as well. So this film coasted on that. They coast on the premise of essentially an X-rated water park for adults that they lead into the slasher and the horror. Ultimately, This is one, and I hate saying this because it feels altogether too mean. This is one you need to temper your expectations for. Looking at my letterboxd as an example of the people who show up on mine who have rated this, I have 1 star, 2 stars, half star, 3 stars, 1 star. But this has a swath from probably 3.5 stars down to half star. It's a film that knows what it is. It's a film that leans into what it is. Can I call this cinema? Am I coming at this as a reviewer? No. And I don't know if I'm entirely going to remember big chunks of this film and if it was really that memorable. But those moments that hit, they were funny. Is this a horror movie? I don't know. But as a comedy, laughing, I'm going to say with this film, I enjoyed it a heck of a lot. But as I said, Clu Gulager's in about, I'm going to say 3.5 minutes, so an entry to the Clu Gulager Film Festival, this is not. As of the time of recording, this piece, Piranha 3DD, I believe is streaming on Tubi. Thank you so much for joining me here with this late night entry into piercing pop culture. I am looking to be coming at you more often with some of these audio pieces, so stay tuned. Thank you everyone for joining me. I'll talk again soon. Bye all.